Well, we had another very rough night last night. It's like things are going from bad to worse. But what's also interesting is it's happening very fast. And the question is, where do we go from here? Bitcoin fell to nearly $80,000 last night. Now it's 85. Was it a wick? Is it a bear market? Is the cycle broken? Are we seeing things we've never seen before? And the answer is, whoa, a lot. So let's get into it. We're going to talk about AI as well and some macro news, which could be a very positive tailwind too. But this one's called the Bitcoin Bloodbath, and I want to say a huge shout out to Shawnee and TNT Tezza and K8 and the whole group that turn up here every day. And it's, again, I think the second time this week I said it's no fun days like this. But hey, we've been through a lot worse. That's all I can say. Let's get into the disclaimer, not financial advice, and a big shout out to everybody on Patreon too. This is from Philip. I'm 24 years old from Sweden, and I followed your YouTube since 2021. Wow. So you were 20 when you started. I love that. I'm looking forward to learn even more now at Patreon. Awesome. Lots to learn. And at your age, you'll go very far. You got time on your side. Anybody at my age would give anything to be your age again. Anything. So big thank you for being here. Sentiment and signals. We have had record low. I think fear and greed for crypto was 9 yesterday. It's now 14, so it's rebounded a little bit. The stock market is actually lower at 11, both at extreme fear. Everybody is terrified. But that being said, some markets are making new all-time highs all the time. So let's talk about Bitcoin and crypto first. What's going on big picture? Well, there's a whole bunch of history I'm going to cover today. Not good history, record history of how bad this is. We had the worst November ever in the history of Bitcoin, down 24%. Never before has it been close to this bad, except for 2018. It was 36%. But either way, it was not expected, especially with the so-called flow of money coming in from ETFs and treasuries, etc. And shout out to Tom Lee. I've never wanted him to be so right so much in my life. But now, this is from Bloomberg. They call him the Permabull. Tom Lee sees Bitcoin as high as 200,000 by January's end. That is a little over 2 months from now. He's moved his $200,000 target out from Christmas to January. Well, and I'll say, if it's 200,000 in January, I will eat my shoe. I'm also going to push out my shoe eating bet live on camera that if he's right. It's crazy. Let's look at the money flow. And I laugh because sometimes humor makes things a little bit better. But we had a record bad month for the ETFs, down 3.8 billion, and the month isn't even over yet. How many days we have left? Another 9 days. This could turn around if the ETFs turn around and come back. A slight bit of positivity could creep in, but this is record low. The other time was this low as well was Feb 2025. Big dump as well. Now, for perspective, though, it's important to remember that as the ETFs are around for a longer period of time, they have more money. They get bigger, therefore the dumps will be bigger. And that's just par for the course. If that was translated into actual Bitcoin denomination, it would be a little bit different. Let's check out Ethereum for giggles. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention Bitcoin down, what did I say, 3.8 billion. Ethereum down 1.8 billion. By far the worst month ever for Ethereum. Massive dumpage. And of course, we have now 4 or 5 different Solana ETFs. And every day they've been green. Every single day. Which is bizarre. And this makes me think, could this be kind of like some of the traditional cycles where there's an alt season, a rotation out of things like Bitcoin and Ethereum into other names? I don't think so. But this is just by virtue of the fact that this chain is extremely undervalued. And I will stick to that. But markets are not rational. And again, another detail of how it's up every single day. And you can see some of the new ETFs that are coming in. Fidelity is in there. VanEck is in there, 21 shares. Bitwise, etc. So they're all positive all the time. So this is good because this tells us that crypto is not dead by no stretch of the imagination. This is just a very nasty bumpy patch. But that's the nature of the beast in crypto. Now, we're going to first thing as well, we're going to talk about regarding history and this being a remarkably different and bad time. This is a cool chart that was shared by Psychedelic on X. And when you look at it, you see a couple of things here. First of all, at the middle of the chart, we have the lowest ever one-day MACD in history. It's never happened before, and it's very strange. Also, the green points at the bottom on the RSI typically mean very, very oversold. So yes, we are crazy oversold. The question is, are we going into a long-term bear market? A lot of experts think that's not the case. The drawdown, 33%. Also, the highest so far this bull run, which is bad. But these drawdowns, 33%, we thought the days of the crazy low drawdowns were gone. That's not the case. So the question is, what's going on? This cycle, yes, it's unprecedented. We're seeing some things we've never seen before. But according to Psychedelic, the cycle is not broken. What it does scream, though, is a broken execution system. The October 10th liquidity failure that wiped out 2 million accounts, this is what is messing things up in a big way. Not the only thing messing things up right now here. Now, a lot of people go back and look at 2021 crash. 2021 crash was caused by bad actors and long liquidations and macro tightening and buyer exhaustion and all that type of stuff. But that is not what is happening right now. We still have strong spot buying. Yes, we've had a big outflow, but the rest of the time it's been very positive. We have long-term holders now accumulating. We'll look at some whale moves. ETFs are still very net positive for the year. All the exchanges have liquidity. Macro is becoming very bullish, and the seller is mechanical, short-term, and very limited. So again, this is not the most important thing here. This is not, according to Psychedelic and the data, it's not like 2022. It's more like the flash crash of C19 in March 2020, which is a good thing. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Could be completely wrong. Let's look at what's happening as well. Who is actually doing all the dumping? A lot of people say, oh, it's the long-term whales that are dumping, that have had bags steady for 15 years, and now they are selling everything. But this is a very important sign here. You can see the green. This is the changes of the actual whale holders. There's people holding 1,000 or Bitcoin or more. The 30-day change across the whales that are last active 2 years, less than 2 years in blue. In gray is 3 to 5 years. In that green is 5 to 10 years. No, it's the tealy color. Very little activity there, 5 to 10 years. And last active 10 years plus. That is the big green. Now, I believe some of the big green could have moved into that, to an accumulation position, because of the fact that, you know, if you had it 2 years ago, if you had an 8-year-old whale and they're still holding, or they lost their coins, they automatically get older and they become the 10-year plus cohort. Maybe. I'm not sure. I think it was Van Eyck put this together. But if you look here, you can see the big movers. You know, the big patient holders, 5+ years, they're still holding or slowly growing their stacks. The selling is mainly coming from this gray cohort, the midterm holders, the people that were in over the last 3 to 5 years. And they've dumped almost 1.7 million Bitcoin over the last 2 years. The 10-year cohort have been net accumulators, as I explained before, but we'll see. And Bitcoin ETFs also dumped 49,000 Bitcoin over the last month, meaning many buyers who bought near the top are probably giving up. And that's kind of where we stand, but it doesn't look that cataclysmic based on this data. The question is it a mechanical glitch like C19 in March 2020, or is it the beginning of a bear? Now, let's go look at some experts. This is the first time that I can recollect that I saw Tom Lee and Matt Haugen together on the same panel. And they said three things that were kind of interesting. Yeah, the market is nervous, but they did say we are nearing a bottom. Both Tom Lee and Matt agree the recent crypto downturn is driven by macro fear. We had the government shutdown, ripping out liquidity, AI valuation concerns, the AI bubble we'll talk about later, stock corrections, crypto liquidation event on 10/10. People are still talking about 10/10. That has completely smashed the fundamentals of crypto and destroyed a lot of retail investors. Crypto is highly sensitive as well to Fed uncertainty, and we'll get to that as well in a while. So we'll see what happens next. But Tom Lee did say Ethereum is in a structural supercycle still, regardless of macro. So good luck to him. I was going to share some metrics as to how it compares to other chains, but I decided it's too much for this show. But let's just get into the big picture stuff. And Matt also calls crypto a generational opportunity. Now, we do have those near-term headwinds. We have the liquidity shock of the government shutdown, maybe some market maker stress from 10/10, and we had the crippling liquidation event, etc. But both believe the 4-year cycle is dead, good, and they believe as well Bitcoin will make a new all-time high. They said this year. I don't know if they mean within a year or by the end of this year. I'm not sure, but words to that effect. Either way, the guy in the middle, he kind of knows his stuff. So I don't know if he's talking his bag or being positive, but I believe him. And I hope he's right. Also, the digital asset treasury companies are destroyed. This really, really hurt the DATs. The total market cap of the digital asset treasury companies is $176 billion in July. Now it's $99 billion today. So it's nearly got a 50% haircut. And there is one treasury that is trimming their bags. I think FG Nexus, never heard of them, but they're selling 10,000 ETH to fund buybacks because, a lot of these DATs are now trading at a discount. And that is beginning to attract players that bought them, that didn't buy them at a discount ever before, but new entrants are coming into the market and they're seeing, oh, NAV premium 0.9, that's interesting. And they're coming in and buying it. It's kind of like what we did back in the last bear market. So crypto, we'll see where it goes. It's the weekend. Normally it recovers a bit, so fingers crossed that happens. Let's talk about AI and markets. AI is mixed. Google up a massive 11%. Google launched Gemini 3, and I must say it's very impressive. Microsoft down 5%. NVIDIA down 1.4%. NVIDIA almost always sells off a bit after earnings unless the earnings are completely blowout, and they weren't exactly completely blowout, but they were also very positive, especially for the future. Tesla up nearly 3%. We have Eli Lilly, the drugs, coming up. Amazon down 6%. Broadcom up 3%. Apple flat. Yeah, so that's pretty much all showed. Amazon down 6%. Very mixed all across the board for AI, but there are things happening behind the scenes. First of all, when we look at the stock market in general, and shout out to Bar Chart as well for the inspiration for this chart, they noticed that the S&P 500 just bounced clean off the 100-day moving average. So I decided to look at that, and I always have my 200-day moving average on. And I discovered something very interesting. Back in May 2025, the S&P 500 bounced off not only the 100-day moving average, but also the 200-day moving average, which are exactly at the same place back then. This tends to be a bullish sign of a bottom. Some people wait for this area to go in and buy. If they're heavy cash, they wait for the 100-day moving average to hit, and then they go. The trend is still down ever so slightly, but we'll see if this acts as support. Normally, Q4 is the strongest time of the year, especially in November for the S&P 500. Could things kick off? Could the day be saved? The month be saved next 9 days? I don't know, but we'll see. And also Tesla's dropping FSD version 14.2. By the way, I have version 14.1.7 in the Cybertruck. It is pretty unbelievable. And it's learning as it goes. So it's learning how to park now. in a very tight parking spot that I have. It made it in for the first time this morning, but they're dropping 14.2 right now. It's rolling out, and this behaves like a fully sentient vision-based driver. It is the new high vision res encoder, something like that. It can understand the world, understand emergency vehicles, debris, human gestures, unprotected turns, construction detours, parking, everything. It's no longer reacting, it's reasoning. And this is the whole sentient thing. This stuff, really, the brains behind this driving system is freaking mind-blowing. And if you've never experienced it, you won't know what I'm saying. But now, literally, I don't feel comfortable driving anymore. It hasn't been that way for a long time. But literally, I get in the parking garage, hit the button, it does everything. It even parks itself. You know, it may not be the parking spot that I choose in a parking lot. I always park far away from all other cars. It'll nestle up closer to somebody else. But anyway, it is very special. So if you have it, or if you're getting 14.2, enjoy. Also, the rollout. This is kind of an interesting chart from our friends at Cyberbulls this morning. They talked about which states will authorize unsupervised FSD with autonomous vehicles today. And that means you can sit in your car and sleep or text message or whatever, and that's coming. In fact, they say this 14.2 is the precursor to 14.3, which is the unsupervised or the completely, you don't have to do anything, you text in your car. But what is interesting is the green states, the place where there will be a law where you can just sit in your car and it'll drive you anywhere. And I don't know what's going to happen with the rest of the states, but places like Nevada, Texas, New Mexico, Colorado, Florida, etc., all the red states, for some reason, are fine with cars driving people around. The blue states, not so much. It's as if the blue states have lots of regulation that prevent anything from happening. Maybe, based on this chart, could be the case. But hopefully the blue states will catch up and start allowing things. And for those of you who own a Tesla bag, and if you do watch this channel, I'm 99% certain you do. This is from AJ, who is a solid analyst and has his price targets for 1 year out and 2 years out. Basically, the price will go 560 to 610 within a year, and 2 years from now, $1,090 to $1,210. This guy is very conservative. He sandbags like me. I believe, by the way, if we have 50,000 robotaxis rolling around the United States next year, or even in other countries like Thailand or Japan, which I believe will probably happen because it'll be easier to get them into those countries that have cleaner regulations. If that happens, we could easily see the price of Tesla go to 2,000. But we need 50,000 cars on the road first. I don't know if that's going to happen. Now, if we look at the returns, 1 year return expected is 54% from the price today, and a 2 year return, if you can be patient, 206%. Now, that is an incredible return, and that is sandbag. So hold on to your bags, my friends. Don't get too cute. And other fun stuff that's happening this week. We have kind of a convergence. We have Robinhood getting more and more into crypto and prediction markets and tokenization of the world and all that type of stuff. Well, guess what? Coinbase is coming from the crypto side into the Robinhood side to do much more on-chain tokenization, predictive markets, stock trading, AI assistance. They're both converging, and we'll see what happens. Now, Robinhood was the super hot stock, one of the many hot stocks during the year, but it's come off the highs. But what is interesting to note here is if you look at Coinbase for the last 12 months versus Robinhood. Robinhood's up 171%. Coinbase is down 5.5%. So they are not the same. Not the same by any stretch. But they are converging. So it's important to watch as we go forward. And another crazy news too, I did mention at the beginning, Google, they've launched Gemini 3. And this is from Axel. I can't believe Gemini 3.0 made this website. He made a website around a Formula One driver. I wish I could remember the name. I think it's one of the orange cars. I haven't watched Formula One this year. I haven't had time. But really good young British driver. But he said, this is Axel guy said, it's so over for designers. This thing built the most impressive reactive website you can imagine in minutes for this Formula One driver is wild. So Gemini 3 from Google has all of a sudden jumped the shark. In fact, their performance is now better than OpenAI ChatGPT, which I believe is a dead man walking. I believe it's completely been blown out of the water by XAI Grok 4.1 has smoked OpenAI, and Gemini 3 has smoked OpenAI too. So again, they'll all jostle for position, but some are just going to leap ahead. And now, for the first time in years, Google always had the goods, but they never turned on the gas. Now they're turning on the gas. So check it out. Really impressive what you can do. I do believe there'll come a time where in the next year or two, people will say, oh, create me an InvestAnswers video with the avatar of me and my voice, and it'll do it. And then I won't have to be here anymore. So that's probably what's coming. Unless you want me to be for my stand-up comedy, which I don't do well either. Anyhow, AI bubble search terms from GMI. It's a new all-time high, a new record. It seems investors are increasingly nervous about US tech valuations. And as I've been saying for a long time, there are definitely some bubblicious items out there that are overvalued by a long stretch, a ton of them. But there are also a couple of companies, the winner takes most, the best, the leaders, are actually undervalued. And that's what always happens. Okay, so watch for that. Winner takes most. Those that have the leading edge in the technology, those that make earnings and revenue, etc., will win. And this is a cool chart of why there will be blood, as I say. This is OpenAI, classic example. They are not leading, and they plan to spend $1.4 trillion in data centers. And they also plan to raise $1 trillion in an IPO. If that IPO ever comes to market, do not buy it, ladies and gentlemen. Try short it. They have huge, crazy intertwined contracts across Microsoft, Oracle, CoreWeave, NVIDIA, Amazon. And despite the scale, its auditor was unknown until now. I think Deloitte is the auditor. And we'll see. Deloitte are now stuck in the middle. They're stuck in between this opaque financing, loss of losses, etc. I don't know what they're going to do or what they're going to expose, but I would want to be in bed with OpenAI, especially since they've lost the lead in the LLM race. There will be blood. Don't get tangled up in OpenAI. A little bit of macro. We had some good macro news over the last few hours. And the Fed is completely erratic. Literally yesterday, these numbers were reversed. It was 30% chance of a rate cut, 70% chance of no rate cut. And guess what today? Today, 72% chance of rate cut in, what date is it? 10th of December. So we're talking 19 days, 18 days. And now rate cut's not looking likely. Jerome Powell must have seen some data that a 3-year-old could see on Twitter looking at macro data. Yes, the job market's smashed. Yes, industries are smashed. Yes, bankruptcies are spiking. Yes, car loan delinquencies are going through the roof. Mortgage delinquencies are being, credit card delinquencies. Everything is destroyed. Okay, the longer rates stay high, the more things will be destroyed and the longer it'll take to recover. Now, while some people believe, well, if Jerome Powell drops interest rates, that'll juice the job market. I don't think so. I think AI has full control of the job market, but maybe in his little fantasy, he can believe that. That's fine. That would be a good thing. Rates need to come down. That's the end of the story. But this is, I think, poly market prediction markets. You can see exactly what happened over 24 hours. A complete reversal just because of a few words out of this erratic person's mouth. How can markets that move trillions around be moved by one man's words, which change from day to day? Does anybody see the nonsense here? It drives me bonkers for years. We need to replace the Fed with AI. That's it. Controversial take right there. Speaking of other controversial takes, this is a sad graphic. I know I've got a lot of friends here watching from Canada. Drop a flag if you're Canadian or some maple syrup on the chat, whatever. But this is GDP per capita between 1995 when it was 100 and today. US has grown GDP per capita by 60%. Not a lot, by the way, compared to some other nations in the world. And the Canadians have gone nowhere since 2015. That is bad. You always need some growth. Now, why this is happening? Maybe because oil prices are low or because they've had a big influx of tourists that stay. I'm not sure, but that is bad and they need to fix that. So I hope Carney can fix that up there in Canada. Tout sweet, if possible, please. And finishing with meme du jour, this is classic. I love this one. AMD, Nvidia, Apple, Microsoft, Google, all afloat. Actually, Apple, I would remove that. They don't even count. They're not even an AI player. That should be Microsoft or Amazon. But Nvidia has their hand on the trunk, and everybody will fall out if Nvidia falters. Let's hope they don't falter. Big thank you as well to everybody in the chat. I really appreciate everyone for coming here, and I know these are sad times. This is not a happy time to be kind of in the markets, but this too shall pass, as Sanjay keeps telling me as well. And a big thank you to Sol Bull. Yes, Solana is stupidly undervalued. Engel Blackson, Bitcoin Broccoli, Trish Hill, Quebec Coiner, DBF 430, B-Man, Piper, AR Ron, Swiper No Swiping, My Dream Come True, and Vincent James. And once again to TD Tesla and Sean Donnelly. I hope from the bottom of my heart that Tom Lee will be right for once this year. And I also hope for his sake that Ethereum gets back to $5,000. He wants 20 grand. That'll be great too. But even 5K would be great. I don't want him and his investors to lose money in Bitcoin and their debt. That would be a very bad luck for the whole crypto space. Thank you all once again for coming. Have a great weekend. See you later. Bye-bye.